Yo, what up? So today's video we're going to be reacting to some of these TikTok comments, since it's the only comments I basically got under this video about how much does Aimlabs help you in Valorant. So yeah, basically I put it up on YouTube. It didn't really get that much motion, which is fine. I'm not hating on it. Slow motion is better than no motion in my opinion, so we're all good. But when I put this shit on TikTok, everybody had an opinion. Like, this shit went triple platinum for a small creator like me. Alright, now I'd also like to mention the fact that I'm uploading very close to the previous time that I uploaded. It's only been a couple of days since I last uploaded. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if you should expect more common uploads this fast, but I knew that with the TikTok comments that I did get, I needed to make a video quick. But you know, I haven't been gone for that long, right? Surely. Also, one thing I'd like to say before we jump into the video is the fact that me personally, I'm kind of a degenerate when it comes to this Aimlabs stuff. I'm gonna be completely honest. I know there is like more people that are more degenerative than me, but I'm gonna be completely honest. The number of hours I have in Aimlabs is ridiculous. Okay, I will admit it is kind of insane, but at the same time, I just use it as practice mainly. You know what I mean? To try to get better, and I also try to use it as just like something to grind. You know what I mean? And a lot of these hours, I would say, are pretty skewed in my opinion, because I do have a lot of tasks played on Aimlabs, but this is just looking at like total number of hours I've spent on the game. So whenever the game is running, this is what my hours look like. Okay, now hopefully I don't scare anybody with the number of hours I've played in Aimlabs. Okay, but I've already said before, I've had 1,000+ hours on this game for a long time, and boom, this shit is pretty disgusting. I'm not gonna lie, but like I said before, these are like downtime hours and playing hours. You know what I mean? It's not that much, and I've also had a lot of free time on my hands. Okay, I know there's people out there with many more hours than me and that have played many more aim trainers than me. Okay, so it does get a little bit disgusting over here, but don't judge me, bro. Now let's get into some of these comments. Now the first one we're looking at says, Gridshot helps you master mouse control for FPS, which you can implement in other shooters. The thing is, every FPS game has their type of aiming, which you have to master, and it's not the same for every game. And as I said in the comments, this is pretty true. This is pretty much my opinion put on paper. A lot of the times, every game has a different movement style or like different way of hitting the target when it comes to FPS, so it's not going to be the same every single time. Like, imagine trying to play Valorant and then going to try to play something like Fortnite. They're like two completely different games. Or even like something like Overwatch. All three of those games have completely different mechanics you'd have to work on. Like, Overwatch has a lot of tracking and stuff in it. Fortnite has like a lot of up and down, like vertical and horizontal movement, while Valorant's straight like a horizontal game. It's just left to right the entire time. Also, it's very crosshair placement heavy. So yeah, the aim trainers, like I said, mainly try to help you get better mouse control. Alright, now I'm finna read this long ass paragraph. Having a routine can fix a lot of these issues. No matter what, consistent practice will lead to improvement. Finding singular issues with your aim is good practice. However, it seems like you're focusing on too many things, which is pretty true. I do focus on a lot of different things, so I do tend to mess one thing up and then try to build up another one. Then he proceeds to say, I'd say take things slowly, find one thing you know you struggle with, and practice and practice and keep practicing until your confidence builds. And once you've done that, move on to the next. It's not about a quick process. You will struggle and it will be annoying. Completely abandon the mindset that Aimlabs is useless to you, because it isn't. Just because you don't notice the progress doesn't mean it's not there. This is another one of the people that were sitting in the comments trying to defend Aimlabs and stuff like that, and I truly believe he's correct. I believe he's correct on all fronts. Just because you can't always see the progress doesn't mean that it's just like not there or it's gone. And yes, you do need to find a routine, consistently do it over and over, and try to find where your weaknesses are at. And once you find them, try to build on them and then change it from there. So I will take this guy's advice 100%. But I'm not just gonna sit up here and act like it's all peaches and cream the entire time, because there were people that were beefing in the comments trying to determine whether or not aim training is actually useful. As you can see here, this guy says it's been proven Aimlabs skill doesn't translate to actual aim. Many pro Aimlab users play real games and are actually trash. Even some have cheated just to seem like Aimlabs helps them. Then he says just play the game and your aim will get better. It's that simple. And then of course you got this guy Alex in the comments saying LeBron doesn't practice shooting in his live games. He takes time to practice them in isolation, which is kind of true if I'm being honest. Now I don't know where this guy Neverworlds is getting his information from, but I don't remember a time where a guy has been like a good Aimlabs player and then cheated in a game. And if you've seen like top pro players for Aimlabs, they do perform insane in other games too. One of the people I know of is like Matty Overwatch. He plays this shit all the time. Like, he's nonstop 24/7 playing Aimlabs, and he's good at other games. But he also says that it doesn't work at all as a comparison. Your Aimlabs gun and stuff will not be the same for a game like CS2, which is kind of true. They can't replicate like the recoil on the guns and stuff like that. So it's not like pinpoint accurate to how you're going to play in the game, but yeah, you could make like an adjustment in game to your aim to try to, you know, fit the game that you're playing. Then he proceeds to say you're not practicing movement in Aimlabs at all, which affects your aim, which I believe is very true, even though there are like Kovacs tasks that I have played that do help you with your movement and help you aim while shooting and moving. So I mean, he's kind of wrong there. I guess he hasn't like looked down the rabbit hole and like tried to find specific tasks where they do have movement. But I mean, if you like isolate it and just specifically say Aimlabs, there isn't that many. They're mainly on like Kovacs and stuff like that. But we're talking about aim training overall, okay? Then it says, and bots in Aimlabs will never be able to mimic a real player's movement or the situation of a real game. You're prepared for the shot versus a real game where you've taken by surprise. Now, I could get down with what he's saying, but at the same time, you need to prepare in these video games that you're playing to be prepared for like taking an angle or something like that. Like, I knew way before how to like take an angle in Valorant before I even did Aimlab. Like, you can prepare to swing an angle in any other game. Or like I said, you can compare it to like an Overwatch or like a Fortnite, where not every scenario you're going to be like prepared for a gunfight. Sometimes you just have to react, but then when you get into that gunfight, since they take a lot longer, you're going to be prepared. Like 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get one tap in Fortnite or in Overwatch, and those games are the games where you need to have like the most awareness, because in like a Valorant or a CS, they basically tell you where the player is going to be half the time, and it's a lot about, like I said, pre-aiming, in comparison to the games where you don't get to pre-aim every single angle because it's more of a surprise with Overwatch and something like Fortnite. Then he goes to say LeBron is using the same ball on the same court with real humans trying to guard him when he trains, not bots programmed to do the same thing over. So we're going to give this guy the footage of LeBron in the gym working with trainers and stuff like that trying to guard him, because they practice without real players playing them every single day. But even though they're not real players, is it not real practice? But then Alex proceeds to clap back by saying, while some scenarios which are used to build key skills such as tracking, target switching, flick mechanics, target acquisition, target speed reading, etc., they're useful for gathering said necessary skills. Think of it as getting good form to shoot rather than practicing shooting from everywhere on the court. Mirror situations in games such as Valorant, Angle, Hold, V2, and Kovacs. Bro's kind of getting cooked in the comments. Alright, on to the next one. My bad, I'm gonna add Bro's response.
Yeah, no, just play the game. You're yapping, bro. You literally don't need to play Aimlabs at all. It's proven. It barely does anything unless you're in an absolute trash can that needs Aimlab. Hand-eye coordination is built into your brain. Skull emoji with double crying laughing emoji.
I mean, I play Aimlabs and I kind of defend it, but like, bro, is this like not too much? Like, this guy cares a little bit too much about a topic he says like doesn't matter. But whatever, on to the next comment. If your team has amazing coordination but bad aim, you're not making it far in Val. But of it's the opposite, you're going pretty far. It's an aim game. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a pretty much aim game. I mean, yeah, it's a FPS, it's a shooter, but at the end of the day, it doesn't take that much work to shoot half the time. And now if we start to like bring in the top 1%, I don't believe half the players have very, very like crazy aim. Like, let's say like a 10s. Not everybody's a 10s when it's 1%, or 10s is pretty much like a 1 of 1. But don't get it twisted. Half of those people up there can aim. It is very true. But there's like the next level, and then there's the step of above that. And your aim can carry you a little bit in Valorant, but it's only to a certain extent. This game at the end of the day is a strategical game. If you're not being strategic, you're going to end up losing regardless. It is 100% an aim game. 2 out of 10 cope. It's only half aim, not gonna lie. Any low immortal has the same level of aim as a Radiant, but Radiants are just better. And like I said, low immortal to me is just like the cap for aim. If you have to be like 100% honest with yourself, you're not gonna get anywhere past low immortal without having any type of like knowledge of the game. You're just gonna get fried by better players that have setups and know how to win rounds. And this guy pretty much hits the nail on the head. I think there is a general consensus though that all Radiant players have this certain level of aim that doesn't like supersede everybody, but keeps that level and pace and aggression within the match. What I mean by that is basically keeping up with the pace of all the other aimers when it comes to like aim and stuff like that. There is like a specific threshold when it comes to playing in Radiant. And this might be a little controversial, but I do believe that 99% of the Radiant players can aim. Like, they're all going to consistently hit their shot as long as you give them a chance. Aimlabs improves your mouse control and raw aim to a certain extent. You're really better off just messing around in the range all day and doing DMs, to be honest. Now, I'm not going to show you the number of DMs that I have and the total amount of hours that I gotta have in DM, but just know it's a lot, okay? That's why I said this is the biggest of facts. I do honestly believe if they never touched an aim trainer and only went to DM, then there's a pretty high chance you're gonna have very good aim in Valorant, if I'm just keeping it 100. Now, before I show you this next comment, I would also like to add in the fact that I am not a believer in just putting mindless, countless hours into a game to try to improve. At some point, you need to like take it serious and try to actually practice a certain type of mechanic with deliberate practice. And I do believe that's how you get hard stuck, by not using your brain at all and just keep throwing darts at the board until you get the bullseye, rather than thinking, how am I not hitting the bullseye? What do I have to do? And when people just tell me, just play the game, just put as many hours into the game as possible, to me that's like the start of a journey where you're at the very beginning. In the very beginning, you start putting like hours into the game constantly over and over, and then at some point you need to start to like being focused and being intentional and deliberate with your practice. And then we got another guy trolling in the comments saying, it may surprise you to learn that to improve in one game, you don't want to play a different game. Head exploding emoji. And I just told him a straight up fact, okay? When I got to Immortal, I had 600 hours in Aimlabs. It was kind of long ago, but it is very true.
Just play the game if you want to improve. Aimlabs is not the solution.
I just told him stay hard stuck. And of course, this guy's like the 5th Radiant that said that they're a Radiant in my comment the same day. Also, I don't understand. Everyone that comes into my comments like to say that they're a Radiant player. Bro, how has everybody been Radiant? Like, somebody's got to be lying at this point, right? But I did look into some people's profiles because I did get rage baited pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie. But this guy's like literally a kid that played on console saying he got the Radiant. It's not that hard. Just play the game. Like, half the people that are saying just play the game that were in my comments were genuinely console. Like, you're playing 2 different games when you're on console and when you're on PC. Once again, we got one of the bros in the comments saying that they just play DM. Like I said, DM, very good deliberate practice. Even if you're just going in there just kind of mindlessly shooting, you're learning the guns, you're learning the movement, you're learning how to aim at people. Like, this type of practice is one I would highly recommend, even more than just like Aimlabs, because this type of practice replicates the game. Maybe not like the fight specifically or like the peaks, but you're getting used to like the game. Once again, a guy saying Aimlabs basically helps with developing muscle memory, with flicking, and just tries to get you better with being comfortable with using a mouse, which yeah, I pretty much agree with. Also, there's another guy that quote unquote peaked Radiant in my comments. Like I said, everybody's a Radiant player or a Mortal player apparently, but he's saying 99% of the time Aimlabs does not transfer over, which I do kind of believe, for the fact that Aimlabs won't transfer over if you're not specifically fixing things. Like I said, you need to be intentional and deliberate. Actually look at what you're not doing right. But yeah, he said aim isn't the most important mechanic in Valorant, and I was like, pretty much true. He's saying angle holding and movement is pretty much king, and yeah, I do agree with that. And yes, not every Immortal has insane aim, but it's just consistency. Like me personally, I'm trying to reach consistency, not trying to get perfect aim. But yeah, pretty much peaking correct and having good fluid movement gets you the good aim, quote unquote. But at the same time, I will say training it and trying to make it better could fill in some of these gaps. It's just a fact. Alright, now before the video ends, I would want to reiterate one more thing. I do honestly believe that Aimlabs will help in the end. Like, when I first started playing Valorant, I didn't have good aim at all because I was new to PC, and then I started putting more time and effort into Aimlab, and it made me better. And the only thing I can think about is, okay, everybody's coming from CSGO or from any other game that they've played on PC, so they have the advantage on me in the aim department. So my whole goal was to basically go into Aimlabs and catch up to these people and number of hours and just sheer work that they've done to their aim. And since I was playing catch up the entire time, I feel like I'm no longer playing catch up. And if you're a player that's just starting, or you're new to like PC or something like that, or you just don't have the best aim, then I think Aimlabs is the move, especially if you want to become like a better version of, you know, the player you are today. Just having better aim and practicing in Aimlabs is not like a negative, but yeah, mainly you want to be practicing specific things that you're going to use while you're playing in game. Like, I wouldn't go on Aimlabs and just randomly click stuff, like randomly click circles, but try to see specifically what you're lacking in your Valorant game and then practice that in Aimlabs. But yeah, in total, I think it can help you improve, even if you are like pretty high up there and you're really good at aiming already. It's just mainly used to help get the kinks out. But yeah, pretty much that's all I got for this video. Alright, I'll see you.